They're truly one of the greatest inventions of the 20th century, a genuine miracle of modern medicine that has saved an unbelievable number of lives. But what if our single best weapon against bacterial disease was starting to fail? Let's take a look at the powerful and pretty perilous world of antibiotics. I am sure you've been there. You feel absolutely awful, you've got a nasty cold or the flu, and you just want something to knock it out. So why won't your doctor write that prescription for antibiotics? Well, it turns out the answer gets to the very heart of a massive global health crisis. But before we get into the problem, let's start with the good stuff, the miracle itself. For decades, antibiotics have been the undisputed heroes in our fight against infectious diseases. So what exactly is an antibiotic when you get right down to it? At its core, it's a very, very specific kind of weapon. It's a substance, often made by other tiny organisms like fungi, that's designed to do one thing and one thing only: hunt down and destroy bacteria. And this is a really key difference. See, unlike a painkiller that just, masks your symptoms, an antibiotic goes straight to the source. It's built to wipe out the actual bacterial cause of an illness, stopping that infection right in its tracks. So how does this microscopic battle really play out? How does an antibiotic even know what to attack? It turns out the science behind it is just incredibly clever. To see it in action, let's head to the lab for a second. Scientists will start with a petri dish, and inside is this jelly-like stuff called agar. It's basically the perfect buffet for bacteria, letting them grow and multiply until you can see these huge colonies. Okay, now for the cool part. They take these little paper discs, soak them in different antibiotics, and place them right on that agar. And you can literally see it working. See those clear halos that form around them? That's the kill zone, where the antibiotic has completely stopped the bacteria from growing. It's a perfect visual of their power. Let's zoom in even closer. Take penicillin, the famous one. Bacteria have this rigid cell wall that our own human cells just don't have. Well, penicillin is designed specifically to attack that wall. So when the bacterium tries to grow and divide, its wall is too weak. It just ruptures and the cell bursts. Game over. It's a targeted and really deadly attack. And this brings us right back to our original question: why can't we use them for a cold? Simple. Colds and the flu are caused by viruses, and viruses are totally different little beasts. They don't have those cell walls for the antibiotic to attack. So using an antibiotic on a virus is kind of like trying to open a digital lock with an old-fashioned metal key. It's just the wrong tool for the job. And here's the thing, using the wrong tool isn't just pointless, it's actively dangerous. Because every unnecessary dose of an antibiotic is helping to fuel a growing crisis, the rise of resistance. So, how does this even happen? Well, it's basically evolution on hyperspeed. Picture a whole bunch of bacteria. Just by random chance, a few of them might have a tiny mutation that makes them a little tougher, a little more resistant. So you introduce an antibiotic. It wipes out all the weaker, easy-to-kill bacteria. But who's left standing? The tough ones. And with all their competition suddenly gone, they're free to multiply like crazy, creating a whole new army of resistant bacteria. And when a strain of bacteria becomes resistant to not just one, but multiple different antibiotics, that's when we get something truly scary, a superbug. I'm sure you've heard of MRSA. That's a perfect example, causing infections that are just incredibly difficult to treat. Okay, I know this sounds pretty grim, but the story isn't over. The fight against resistance isn't just for scientists in white lab coats. It's a battle that every single one of us has a part to play in. First, we have to be honest about how we're fueling the fire. A huge factor is doctors overprescribing them for viruses. Another big one? People not finishing their full prescription. You start to feel better, so you stop. But that can leave the strongest bacteria behind to multiply. And it's not just us. The huge scale of antibiotic use in farming, often on perfectly healthy animals, is creating this massive breeding ground for resistance. So, what's our action plan? It's simple, but it is so powerful. First, use them wisely. Only take antibiotics when they are absolutely necessary for a bacterial infection. Step 2, finish the course. Always, always complete the entire prescription even after you start to feel better. That makes sure all the bacteria are gone. And third, on a bigger scale, we need to support strategies that use different kinds of antibiotics so we don't lean too heavily on just one type. Look, antibiotics are an incredibly precious resource. They're the reason deadly infections became minor inconveniences. They made modern surgery possible. We've really started to take them for granted, and now we're at real risk of losing them. So the question we all have to ask ourselves is, are we actually prepared to do what it takes to protect them for the future?